Welcome to History Explained, where we illuminate the past to better understand our present. I'm your guide to your daily journey through the past to empower the future. Today is Saturday, June 28, 2025. As we do every Saturday, we're exploring a significant military engagement that shaped the course of history. Today, we turn our attention to the Siege of Vienna in 1683, one of the most decisive battles in European history. This dramatic confrontation between the Ottoman Empire and a Christian coalition marked the high-water mark of Ottoman expansion into Europe and began the empire's gradual retreat from its European territories. What makes the Siege of Vienna particularly significant is how it represented a clash of civilizations that would determine the future balance of power between East and West. The successful defense of Vienna preserved Christian Europe while beginning the Ottoman Empire's long decline as a major European power. So let's explore this pivotal siege, examining the Ottoman expansion that led to it, the desperate defense of Vienna, the dramatic relief by Allied forces, and its lasting impact on European and Ottoman history. By the late 17th century, the Ottoman Empire remained one of the world's most powerful states, controlling territories from the Balkans to the Persian Gulf. Under Sultan Mehmed IV and his Grand Vizier Kara Mustafa Pasha, the Ottomans sought to expand their European holdings and capture Vienna, the gateway to Central Europe. The Ottomans had been expanding into Europe for centuries, conquering the Byzantine Empire, most of the Balkans, and parts of Hungary. Previous Ottoman sieges of Vienna in 1529 and 1532 had failed, but by 1683, the empire possessed greater resources and more advanced military technology. The Habsburg monarchy, rulers of Austria and the Holy Roman Empire, faced this threat with limited resources. Emperor Leopold I struggled to maintain his diverse territories while confronting both Ottoman pressure from the east and French expansion under Louis XIV from the west. The immediate cause of the 1683 campaign was Ottoman support for Hungarian rebels led by Imre Thököly, who sought Hungarian independence from Habsburg rule. This conflict provided the Ottomans with justification for military intervention and an opportunity to advance on Vienna. In March 1683, Kara Mustafa began assembling a massive Ottoman army estimated at 150,000 to 200,000 troops, including elite Janissary infantry, Sipahi cavalry, and numerous allied forces from across the empire. This army included advanced siege equipment and artillery capable of breaching Vienna's fortifications. The Ottoman advance began in May 1683, moving through Hungary toward Vienna. The size and speed of this force shocked European observers and created panic in Vienna as refugees fled westward ahead of the approaching army. Vienna's defenses were formidable but not impregnable. The city was surrounded by strong walls and bastions built according to the latest military engineering principles. However, the garrison under Count Ernst Rüdiger von Starhemberg numbered only about 15,000 regular troops plus civilian volunteers. As the Ottoman army approached, Emperor Leopold I fled Vienna with most of the court, leaving the city's defense to Starhemberg and its inhabitants. Many wealthy citizens also fled, but approximately 60,000 people remained in the city, determined to resist the siege. The siege began on July 14, 1683, when Ottoman forces surrounded Vienna and began constructing their siege works. The Ottomans employed traditional siege tactics, digging trenches toward the walls while bombarding the city with artillery and mortars. The defenders responded with desperate courage. Starhemberg organized both military resistance and civilian participation in the defense. Women and children helped repair fortifications damaged by Ottoman bombardment, while craftsmen manufactured ammunition and weapons. Food supplies became increasingly scarce as the siege continued. The Ottomans had effectively cut off all supply routes to the city, and the civilian population faced starvation. Disease also spread through the crowded city, weakening both defenders and civilians. The Ottomans employed their traditional siege technique of undermining the walls through tunnels packed with explosives. Several successful mines created breaches in Vienna's defenses, and Ottoman assault troops repeatedly tried to storm through these gaps. However, the defenders proved remarkably resilient. Each Ottoman assault was met with fierce resistance, and the breaches were quickly repaired or defended with makeshift fortifications. The siege dragged on longer than Kara Mustafa had anticipated. Meanwhile, Emperor Leopold I worked desperately to assemble a relief army. The Habsburg monarchy's resources were limited, but Leopold appealed to other European powers for assistance against what was portrayed as a threat to all Christendom. The response was remarkable. Pope Innocent XI provided both financial support and moral authority for what became a crusade to save Vienna. King John III Sobieski of Poland agreed to lead a relief army, while various German princes contributed troops and resources. The Polish king's decision was crucial. John Sobieski was an experienced military commander who had previously fought successful campaigns against the Ottomans. His agreement to lead the relief effort provided both military expertise and substantial Polish forces. By early September 1683, the Allied relief army had assembled on the Kahlenberg Heights overlooking Vienna. The force included approximately 65,000 troops, 27,000 Austrians and Germans under Charles of Lorraine, 18,000 Poles under Sobieski, and 20,000 additional German and Polish forces. Inside Vienna, the situation had become desperate. Food supplies were nearly exhausted, ammunition was running low, and the walls had been breached in several places. Starhemberg's forces were down to fewer than 4,000 effective soldiers capable of fighting. The relief began on September 12, 1683, with the largest cavalry charge in history. Sobieski led approximately 20,000 cavalry, including his famous winged Hussars, down from the Kahlenberg Heights toward the Ottoman camp. The psychological impact was devastating. The sight of massed Christian cavalry charging with banners flying and war cries echoing across the battlefield shattered Ottoman morale. Many Ottoman troops fled before contact was even made. The Ottoman army, which had been focused on the siege works facing Vienna, was unprepared for this massive assault from the rear. The siege lines collapsed rapidly as panic spread through the Ottoman ranks. Kara Mustafa's attempts to rally his forces proved futile. Within hours, the Ottoman siege was broken. The massive Ottoman army, which had seemed invincible just days before, disintegrated in chaotic retreat. Thousands of Ottoman soldiers were killed or captured, while others fled toward Hungary in complete disorder. The victory's immediate consequences were dramatic. Vienna was saved from capture, and enormous quantities of Ottoman military equipment, treasure, and supplies fell into Christian hands. The spoils included hundreds of cannons, thousands of tents, and the Grand Vizier's personal treasure. More importantly, the siege's failure marked the beginning of Ottoman decline in Europe. Never again would the Ottoman Empire pose a serious threat to Central Europe. The failed siege exposed Ottoman military weaknesses and encouraged their enemies to launch counterattacks. The victory also had significant political consequences. John Sobieski became a hero throughout Europe, while the Habsburg monarchy's prestige was greatly enhanced. The successful defense demonstrated that European unity could overcome even the most formidable threats. The Ottoman defeat triggered internal political upheaval. Sultan Mehmed IV blamed Kara Mustafa for the disaster and had him executed. The failure undermined confidence in Ottoman military superiority and encouraged rebellions throughout the empire. The siege's failure began a series of Ottoman defeats that would continue for decades. The Great Turkish War, 1683-1699, saw continued Habsburg and Allied victories, culminating in the Treaty of Karlowitz, which forced the Ottomans to cede most of Hungary to Austria. The cultural and religious significance was equally important. The victory was celebrated throughout Christian Europe as divine intervention and proof of Christianity's superiority over Islam. This interpretation strengthened European identity and confidence. The siege also demonstrated the importance of international cooperation in facing existential threats. The alliance between Austria, Poland, and various German states showed how European powers could unite against common dangers despite their usual rivalries. Modern military historians study the siege for its lessons about coalition warfare, siege tactics, and the importance of morale in determining battle outcomes. The rapid collapse of the Ottoman army illustrates how psychological factors can be as important as material advantages. The Siege of Vienna stands as one of history's most decisive military encounters, marking the end of Ottoman expansion into Europe and the beginning of European resurgence. The courage of Vienna's defenders and the timely arrival of Allied relief forces preserved Christian Europe and changed the course of world history. Thank you for joining us for this exploration of the Siege of Vienna. Tomorrow, we'll be back with our innovations and inventions, episode examining the development of the steam engine and its revolutionary impact on transportation and industry. If you enjoyed this journey through history, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell. What aspects of the siege do you find most significant or interesting? Let us know in the comments below. Until next time, I'm your guide for History Explained, where we believe that understanding yesterday is the key to navigating tomorrow.